Hello friends, my name is Neus and I'm also known as Miss Mesa in social media. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to draw these tropical flowers and leaves. You only need paper or a notebook and pencil. But I'm also going to use a fine liner. These are from the June subbox. And for the title, I used acrylographs from the Sunset Breeze and Tropical collections. Finally, I recommend you to use something circular like this tin can or a washi tape to help you draw circles. The first flower we are going to draw is a hibiscus. We start drawing a circle with the help of something round if we want. We look for the center and divide the circle in 5 parts. They don't have to be exact, but try to make them more or less of a similar size. This can be a little tricky, so take your time. Once you have the space divided, draw a semicircle in each sector, as I'm doing. This will serve as a guide for the petals. Once this is done, we need to sketch the central part of the flower, where the pistil comes out. Something rough, like this. And now we have to complete the drawing of the petals, that in this case overlap each other, so you only have to draw one of the sides. Now we just have to follow this sketch with the fine liner, with an uneven stroke, because the petals of the hibiscus do not have perfect edges, but small waves. Like this. We draw all the petals overlapping them on one side. One more. And the last one. And then we draw the pistil with 2 strokes, and the upper part making something like small bubbles, something like this. We fill this space that we had reserved with some detail, and now we just need to apply also some detail in the petals. Try to follow the little uneven curves of the outer stroke of the petals and draw the strokes always following the direction towards the center. You need to draw small diagonals without ever finishing them, just little strokes. This fine liner's tip is very thin, so you can draw very fine detail. You can get very thin strokes if you press super lightly, or thicker strokes if you press harder. This flower usually has a darker inner part that you can also draw as a small flower. And then shade it. And I like to add a lot of little lines to make that kind of shadow that hibiscus have. You can also add some more lines to complete it on the inside. I'm adding some more detail in the petals inner side, like this. You just need to add thin strokes wherever you want more detail. I think I want to add some more shadows in here. Maybe a little more here. You can add as much detail as you want, or you can leave it with less detail to paint it later. I'm going to do some finishing touches. Now I erase the pencil, aligning here, and the hibiscus flower is finished. Let's move on the second flower, which is the Plumeria. As before, we draw a circle and also locate the center to divide it into 5 parts. First a circle, now we find the center, and the easiest thing is to divide the bottom part in half and then find the rest. And this is the hardest part of the flower, so take your time. Again, I'm going to draw these semicircles, which will be the petals. But in this case, the Plumeria petals overlap in the reverse direction than the hibiscus ones, at least in the ones I've seen. I draw the last one. In the hibiscus, we have drawn them on the right side, and in the Plumeria, we are going to complete them on the left side, overlapping the right side of the petal next to it. I'm going to erase these pencil lines that can be confusing. These flowers have petals that are a little round, a little more angular, and I don't want to get confused with the pencil lines. No, I draw them directly with a fine liner, but you can do the sketching pencil before. It is actually only a matter of using the sketch as a guide, but drawing this petal a little more pointed, a little more angular. In this case, the strokes are much more even and perfect, because the Plumeria flower is quite smooth. The last petal. Now we need to add the little fold that the petals have in this flower. And I'm going to do it like this. It is always on the left side, from the center to the tip. So we join them with a stroke that will form the fold of the flower. And finally, the last one. It would be ready, but we are going to add some details, very subtle, because as I said before, this flower is much smoother than the hibiscus. It has very little detail of shadows in comparison, but well, some small detail we can add. And don't forget to darken the central part of the flower. And finally, we erase the pencil lines, and we have our flower finished. The next doodle is going to be a Monstera Leaf. I'm going to draw a smaller circle this time, so you can use washi tape or a smaller cone, or anything round depending on the size you want your leaf to be. We have to divide the circle in half. I do it diagonally because I want the leaf to be a little rotated. The diagonal line at the top is going to be the tip of the leaf. Now we just have to follow the circle to create the round part of the leaf, and draw this stroke at the bottom to get the shape of the Monstera, that shape the Monstera leaves have that is so characteristic. We do the same on the other side to have the full shape. These leaves have kind of holes, and to draw them we will first divide with some guides the shape, and we will make a separation so that there is a more or less similar space between the holes of the leaf. It doesn't have to be perfect at all. Try just to separate some parts of the area of the Monstera leaf. This will be the skeleton of the leaf. And now we just have to create the slits where the Monstera splits, following the guides in the sketch. Take your time and erase as many times as you need. Keep in mind that these slits don't all have to be the same, because Monstera leaves are a little mismatched, and some have a smaller slit and then even a small inner hole. So I'm not going to draw the line so far down the center in some of them. You could also draw it directly with a fine liner, but by doing it before in pencil, you make sure you get it the way you want it. Now, by following with the fine liner, you can perfect any line that you have made with the pencil and you don't love. Or if you already like the way the pencil is drawn, just go over it and take your time to enjoy the drawing. Now the other side. The leaf is starting to show, and we are going to draw with the fine liner the central part that divides the leaf, like this. We still have to draw the holes in the inner parts, where we have reserved the space. And finally, we draw some strokes that divide each part of the leaves. And these are so characteristic of the Monstera. If you look at a real leaf, you will see they are not all parallel. Some of them are unequal, while others coincide. I have taken as an example a real leaf of one of my plants to draw this one. The last strokes. We just need to erase the pencil and the drawing of the Monstera will be finished. Please do this carefully. I am going to redraw a little more this central line. And yes, it is finished. Finally, we are going to draw a banana leaf. And this time we start drawing the central line in a similar way as we have done drawing the Monstera, but a little bit longer. This leaf is more elongated, so we draw some guides where the leaf starts and ends, and also on the sides. From the top of the line to almost the bottom, but leaving a little space for the stem. We need to draw a rather elongated oval shape, in this way. These leaves are not quite round at the bottom, but a little more angular, like this. And the top has to be a little flatter, so we modify this on top of the oval circumference. Now we have to draw some splits, which in this case are much smaller than those of the Monstera, and in more or less uniform places, where the leaf opens as it grows. We draw these small bites, distributing them along the leaf. Thus a little uneven and not quite parallel. With this shape drawn, we only need to ink it with the fine liner slightly unevenly, because these leaves are not totally perfect on the edges, and we have to incorporate these notches that we have sketched. We do the same on the other side. It doesn't have to be a perfect line, but it doesn't have to be super uneven like the hibiscus was either. We leave a little space where the stem is going to be, because this stem is a little bit thicker, and now we just need to draw a thin straight line at the tip and add a little bit wider at the bottom. It doesn't have to be perfect. Again, nothing has to be perfect. If you want, you can use a roller, but I like that they are not super clean strokes, though it can be cleaner than these ones. Now the only thing missing is some detail, and we will add it trying to think about the direction these lines would have. This is a leaf that has many lines from the center and at the sides, so you can add as much detail as you want. I'm going to paint them later, so I don't want to add a lot of detail. Only some strokes spread out along the leaf, trying to figure out where the real lines would go. Some more strokes in the bottom area. I'm adding some last thin lines to give it a little more character. A little bit here, and that would be it. The drawing is finished, but I'm going to use some calligraphs in the tropical collection to do some magic. And here they are, already painted. Thank you for following this video. I would love to see your flowers and your leaves. So if you post them, you can tag me and Darcy and Olive so we can see them. Bye!